Girls, I am Nathan Goose Fletcher, and I am a drunk philosopher. Uh, Sorry, it took a little while to get up at the moment. I had some technical difficulties due to me um, not really knowing the technology all that well. I'm a bit of a boomer that way, I guess. But I just had to post this now on Facebook, so if you'll excuse me for a second. Streaming now. There we go. Here we go. Rightio. Can anybody hear me? Whoops, where did I go now? There I am. So the election is heating up at the moment, guys. We've actually got Tony Abbott has just been, looks like he's going to be unceremoniously dumped from Warringah, which is quite interesting. The first Liberal casualty, and not a small casualty either, quite a large casualty. So absolutely amazing. So where are we at the moment? At the moment, it's neck and neck. We've got a lot of seats counted in Victoria and in New South Wales at this point. And the coalition are sitting on, I believe, 35 seats to the Labor Party's 34 seats. It's going to be a very tight race. And if you've been watching my videos, you'll be able to guess that I'm predicting a Labor victory. So it's going to be tight. It's going to be interesting to see how the independents are playing out. At the moment, we've got how are we looking here? So we've got the Liberal Nationals 14, Liberal Party on 12 seats, Labor's 34, Independents are on 2, Greens are on 1. That's not a very good result for the Greens thus far. We'll see how we go later on. But at the moment, we're looking at kind of a bit dinky. You'll have to excuse me. Yes, got some technical difficulties here. I'm still having major problems. I'm phoning a friend. Um, what the hell's going on? So, yeah, at the moment, that's where it sits. Western Australia at this point in time, according to, see here, the tally room. What are we looking at here? We go, say, down to Western Australia. Go down to Western Australia. Let's have a bit of a look here at the moment. Western Australia, we're looking at this point. Well, I haven't got any results at this point from Western Australia at all. Oh, hang on, I was wrong. We have, and it looks like the Labor Party is projected to take Western Australia by about, at the moment, 3 points, 3%, which is quite an interesting result. Independent voting thus far in Australia, Western Australia, is very small. We're looking at probably less than 2% so far of the complete vote. New South Wales, it's pretty much the same. The Labor Party is up by 2.3%. So yeah, it's close, but it looks like all round that the Labor Party is way in front in Victoria. They're looking about 4% of the vote. So yeah, it's very, very interesting at this point. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to excuse me. I'm trying to get one of somebody else involved, so it's not as boring. So how is everybody anyway? At the moment, it's just me. So now where we're looking here, we've done Victoria, Queensland, West Australia, New South Wales. Let's go to South Australia. And it's the same story in South Australia. The projection is about 3% at this point in South Australia towards the Labor Party. Now, Tasmania are expected to be a bit different. No, it's 3.2%. ACT, same deal, 2.8%. And the Northern Territory thus far, we are looking at 1.6%. So across Australia, every state and territory at the moment, we are looking at Labor getting in. So it's not good news for the coalition at all. Oh dear, the modern technology. Fantastic stuff. So yes, now once again, Tony Abbott looks like he's lost his seat. At this point, it looks like South Australia, it looks like the Liberals might lose Adelaide. I believe it's McIntosh in Adelaide. So yeah, it's not looking very good. Not looking good at all. Now, in other news today, we've got Bill Shorten has come out swinging against China. Apparently, China were making some moves towards trying to influence people voting towards the Liberal Party. Apparently, it seems to me that around the Western world at the moment, every single election that's held, whether it be here or wherever it is, it's always Russia and China interfering with the elections. Let's say it was the case that China and Russia did diddling with everyone's elections. We do the same thing. So to try and pretend that we have the higher moral ground here is absolutely ridiculous. Now, in looking at the Labor Party, what do we got here? Just what am I doing here? What am I doing? Apparently he's in the. Apparently my friend's in the call. I'm not sure how to get him involved. Hang on, we'll go to this one. Can I do it from here?
Hello?
No.
Hello?
Hello, Darren. Can I do it from here? You're in, mate. No.
I can hear you.
I'm here.
Hello, Darren. Can I do it from here? So, how are you going today, Darren?
I'm good.
You're good. Excellent stuff. Now, before we go too much further, predictions for the election, even though we know some of the results already.
I think Labor will they'll scrape it in.
Yeah, well,
it's very close right now.
oh, it's insanely close. But then again, we're only a couple hours into counting. We've got 28% of the country counted to this point. But we're seeing a massive swing, like Tony Abbott losing Warringah.
I know that. I was expecting a swing against him, but not like that.
No, I mean, that has been a Liberal held seat now for about 40 years. So that was very surprising to me.
Mm. And I've also noticed that Dutton will hang on to Dixon.
Yep. They obviously like potato farming there.
They do. So that's all right. I mean, Abbott's lost his seat. He was the one that I was actually, was wanting to drop.
Mm-hmm.
Dutton, I wanted him to drop as well, but if I had my choice between Abbott and Dutton, I'd say Abbott.
Yeah, personally, I like Tony Abbott. I may not agree with his politics, but I think that he's a person of integrity, and the Liberal Party are going to be very sorry to see him go.
Well, Dutton's been given a lifeline. We'll have to see what he does with it. I mean, if the coalition are re-elected, then he's going to have to thank his lucky stars, because I don't think he'll scrape by next election if he keeps going the way he's going.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see, for example, the seat held by Christopher Pyne in Adelaide, to see whether or not that ends up being dropped. It's going to be interesting. Because that seat, once again, it's been held for such a long time. I mean, if you look at it at the moment in just South Australia, there's been a 70.72% swing to Labor in that state, which is quite interesting. Of course, me being a Western Australian, I'm very interested in how we're going in Western Australia. But once again, it's exactly the same. It's a 0.72% swing. And Western Australia is, generally speaking, a Liberal state. So once again, that's very interesting.
That is very interesting. I also decided to look up my own electorate, which is Blair. Now, our candidate's name is Shane Kenneth Newman. He's held the seat for the last 2 or 3 elections, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, I'm seeing a 7.92% swing against the Labor Party in this seat.
Really?
Yeah. We're looking at currently the percentages on this seat is 50.2% for Newman and 49.8% for Robert Shearman, who's the Liberal candidate for this area. It looks like
that's crazy.
That's insanely close. Yeah, last year it was not this close last time. It really wasn't. In this seat, I've also seen One Nation. They got a swing for them for 2.2%. The biggest swing is actually, believe it or not, the United Australia Party with 3.26% swing for them.
Mm-hmm. Well,
That's amazing.
I think the Liberals though have overplayed their card as far as the United Australia Party go, simply because at the moment we're looking at least they're projecting at least 3, maybe 4 seats for One Nation and possibly 1 seat in the House of Reps for Clive Palmer. So instead of going for the traditional independent party that they go for, they've gone for Palmer, and they're going to possibly lose out 3 seats and God knows how many thousands of votes in preferences.
It's amazing. This election is certainly not shaping up to be either a typical election, and it's certainly not. It's certainly not. It's certainly showing to be. It's showing to be that it's not as expected either. It's very unpredictable, especially looking at these numbers.
I can honestly say I have never seen an election quite like this ever. I mean, usually if a party's going to win, they're going to win by a huge margin. But even, well, I can't say ever, because last election, look how close it was. I mean, it took what the Liberal Party nearly all night to sort of gain the extra seats that they needed to win the last election. I have a feeling that this is going to go down straight to the wire as well. The interesting thing, though, for me is if you look at, say, Victoria, and this gets really interesting, right? Because the swing against the Liberal Party at the moment in Victoria is 5.23%.
That's a big swing.
That's a huge swing. Independents are the swing away from independents at the moment is 3%. And that's all going to the Labor Party, which is absolutely crazy. So
I think I've just found something else that's also very interesting. Sportsbet have updated their odds.
Right.
They have a Coalition at $1.10 and Labor at 6.
The Coalition's odds on.
Yeah, they've completely reversed the odds.
Well, that's strange because, I mean, if they've reversed the odds because of the way people are betting, it could be, and I'm not saying it is, but it could be that the people who are betting are maybe perhaps a little bit more conservative.
Or a bit more wishful thinking. They're betting on the ones that they wish would win.
Yeah, I think so. But then again, I mean, if you look at the way polling has gone across the Western world, in the last 5 years or so, sometimes that polling can be very wrong.
Well, at the moment, the Labor is the two-party preferred. Labor is hanging on by less than 1%. It's very, very close. There's not 4,000 votes in it so far.
So
it's amazing.
At the moment, there's 38, not 38 seats. Sorry, there's what do we got? We've got Labor have 13 seats so far in the House of Representatives. Liberal Party 12, LNP, which they put LNP on what this side I'm on when they probably just mean National Party. 3 seats, Greens 3 seats, Centre Alliance 2, One Nation 1, Conservatives 1, and National Party 1 seats so far, 1 in the House of Representatives. I'm not sure if I can trust this source, though. It seems to be a little out.
What source are you using? I'm on the Electoral Commission page.
Well, it's I'm on the Guardian, which is left. It's left leaning, but the numbers are usually okay. They just might be a little bit more behind. But I do have the AEC tally room here. And wow, they've just got the on the main page, the Labor Party have, according to them, fallen behind on the raw vote score. Can you see what I see?
Well, I'm looking at the House of Representatives, who is leading based on projected TCP. Now,
Yep.
up the top, they've got the Liberals in front and Labor behind. But if you scroll right to the bottom, they've got the House of Representatives, who is leading, and they've got Labor in front. Now, I will admit I have no idea why there's two sets of graphs here. I don't know. I don't know if the one down the bottom is projected and the one up the top is total at the moment. Did you scroll all the way to the bottom?
Yeah, mate. The top one, it says it's the expected results if voting keeps on going the way they expect it to go on projection, and the bottom one is the actual stats. So Labor's actually with the bottom graph, and for people who want to follow, I'll put the link in the description for anybody who is watching, which I don't know at the moment if there is anybody, but still, so well, it'd be interesting actually to see what Andrew Bolt was saying at this point in time.
The thing is if the Liberals are projected to win, all the mainstream media had tipped that Shorten was looking to be in the Lodge. Now, they're kind of going to have egg on their face if it turns out the coalition will win.
Yeah, that's true. At the same time, I think that a lot of the conservative folk in Australia are pretty much already at the point where they're saying, okay, I think we might be in a bit of trouble here, boys. So I've spoken to quite a few conservative people, and there's not a lot of there's hope. That's about it. I think most people are resigned to it. So it's going to be interesting to see where this all ends up. The interesting thing is you've got a vote down here. The TCP is unavailable. I'm presuming that that's for the really small parties, maybe, or I'm not sure. What's interesting though is the independent vote is not very big. If you look at the House of Representatives, who is leading based on actual TCP, you've got independents are sitting at less than probably about 5% right now of the overall votes counted. So that's quite interesting.
It is.
So the coalition now hold 41 seats to Labor's 40. And just remind people, the party that wins needs a minimum of 76 seats in the House of Representatives to win the Australian election. What do you think about all this populism that's been happening this week? Everyone's talking about, do we vote for ScoMo or do we vote for Shorten? When we all know that you're not voting for the person, you're voting for the party. Do you think that's had a lot to do with the way people are voting this time around?
I think that the fact that people think that they're voting for the Prime Minister directly, I think that in itself is a major issue when it comes to our voting practices. It's a simple case of, you could have your local member who bends over backwards and does everything to make sure that everyone's looked after, right? Works hard, does everything right. But the national leader, everybody hates. So in which case, they're cutting off their nose to spite their face. I mean, granted, the leader represents the party, yes, but they need to look beyond just the leader. I mean, there's a lot of people. I said, I had a discussion with someone. I said, so who are you going to vote for? They said, I'm going to vote for Liberals. I said, okay, may I ask why? He says, I don't like Bill Shorten. I said, so what about policies and stuff? They go, well, I haven't really looked at Labor's policies or anything. I just don't like Shorten. I said, and I thought, well, that's got to be the most ridiculous reason to vote against a party or vote for a party is because of a leader. You need to look at their policies. You need to you need to look at the policies. You need to look at your local candidate and what he's done and what he will do, he or she. My apologies to everyone. You've got to look at the policies. You know, you can't base it off, oh, I don't like Shorten. You know,
Well, but you're wasting your vote if you do.
You are. You're wasting your vote, and it's going to be based off of no facts or anything. It's just a simple fact you don't like a person, and I think that's a big problem in our political environment right now. Is they go more for the personality rather than the hard, solid policies that they've released.
Oh, absolutely, and I think the America has a lot to do with it as well, insofar as the whole, because people used to watching the primaries in the America before the American election. The Democrat primaries and the Republican primaries, of course, and that's where you get the Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton on the Democrat side last election, and the Ted Cruz's versus the Donald Trumps on the Republican side. And so they say, oh, well, you know, that's the way politics is. And of course, in Australia, it's a completely different ballgame.
It is. It's also the same as when people mention polls. They're like, oh, the polls had Hillary winning at this such and such. And I keep reminding people, it's two totally different voting systems. Number one, we got compulsory voting over here. We have to vote. They don't in America. Number two, they've got the electoral college system. If they didn't have the electoral college system, Hillary might well have been the president.
Oh, not might well have been. She would have won by a landslide.
She would have won. But see, and there's no way you can compare America to Australia when it comes to polling. It's completely different. I just had a read also. TCP is two candidate preferred.
Yes. Which is what was the actual voting basis is. I've seen polls before with the single voting. And that what's the point? I mean, we are a two-party preferred system. Obviously, they're not going to do a poll counting the votes out to say for the white paper your seven preferences, and then they're going to get your white paper, green paper, your seven preferences, and then your white paper, your six preferences, or if you tick each box individually or whatever it is. And that would just be too much for who's going to win. And that's all these things are. They're just a guide of, hey, this is who's going to win.
My ex-sister-in-law has posted something on Facebook, and it was a picture of Will Smith from Men in Black when he was trying to fill out the form in that tiny little seat.
Yep.
And the caption was, when you're at the polling booth attempting to fill out that long the white paper. Which is true, actually, because I had to slide the thing up halfway up the wall to get to the spot that I wanted to. You know, it was ridiculous. The sheet is massive. It really is.
And the thing is, a majority of people who aren't into politics or are just a little bit into politics, they'll go for the top line. But a lot of people don't know, like they'll know Labor, Liberal, maybe the Greens, maybe a couple of others, and then they say, well, pick your top six. And how many people, when they vote in their top six, so let's say they're a Conservative, so they go, well, Liberal, One Nation, blah, 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 down the line, but won't realise that they've probably not voted for three or four other parties, or put preferences for two or three other parties that actually would also go towards the Liberal Party vote.
Yeah.
So that's one as well. So where have we got here?
This is very interesting because even now it is really, really close, this election.
And, oh, look, mate, it is. But I mean, we're just getting into it though, so.
We are. I mean, it says, what does it say here? It says 58.91% polling places counted.
Yep.
So
I'll go down, I'll refresh this. Yeah, Labor Party look like they've got a handy lead towards the 75 at the moment. seems to be I mean, the swing must be at least 8 to 9% nationwide, at least. Liberal Party were only up by how many seats? 6 seats, 7 seats.
6 or 7 seats, I believe. Oh, hang on. No, yeah, 7 seats they were.
Yep, 7 seats. And I'd say they're going to lose those 7 seats and probably another 4 or 5 at this point. If the projections are right, though, they'll probably lose another 12. The Nationals are probably breathing a sigh of relief that they've got 1 seat in the House of Representatives, because otherwise I have a feeling that they'd be disappearing as a political party. But it's really interesting, actually, when you're looking at the close seats at the moment, because the seats that are the closest actually have the Liberal Party on TCP, have the Liberal Party in front. And in fact, let me have a look down here. G'day, Jonesy. And we've just been joined by another friend to the channel, although he's joining me live. It should be interesting. Do you want your face on screen, sir, or not? Sure. Why not? Okay.
Evening.
We've got
Jonesy.
Michael with us. Hello, Michael.
Evening.
Your prediction?
I actually haven't seen anything. I've been busy, so I will just do some research now.
So, no, who do you think will win? Labor or Liberal? Just
Okay. Well, based on no recent information, I think Liberals will
the Liberals will win.
win. Okay.
Excellent.
All right.
At the moment, they're 5 seats up.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not, in real time, they're 5 seats up. They're 48 seats to 43 seats in the House of Reps.
Oh, excellent. So, what do I win if I get the guess right?
You get to have the Liberal National Party, and you get to have a lot of.
What's your thoughts on Abbott losing his seat?
Oh, I hadn't heard that. Can't say I'm totally surprised. I heard it was going to be a pretty close race.
It was a pretty big swing, actually.
Okay.
That's 5% from memory.
No, look, he's obviously had a lot of time to make some changes, and he's proven that obviously he did well for a lot of years, depending on your definition of well for politicians. Yeah, so I'm not totally surprised that someone else has been given the opportunity.
Well, the seat sitting at the moment, Tony Abbott has 40.48%, and Zali Steggall 59.52.
Right, not even close.
The interesting thing is, of course, that they're actually Conservative independents. So whether or not that'll give a preference to the Liberal Party, because it still gives a vote to the Liberal Party, it's still a vote, I guess.
Well, the swing against Abbott is 13.42%.
Gee, that's a lot.
Wow. That has gone gangbusters in the half an hour since we checked it.
That is a massive swing.
Well, yeah, what do you say to that? See you later, Abbott.
Well, definitely. I mean, as I said, he's had a lot of opportunity to get things done. And, obviously, people are keen for a change.
Yeah, but yet Dutton keeps his seat.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So
some people are keen for a change.
Well,
I was looking at our seat in Blair here, which has been a Labor safe seat for the last few elections, and they're close to 50-50.
Wow, that's cool.
So that had a hang on, where is it again? In this one, the Labor candidate had a 7.86 swing against him. And currently he's hanging on by the skin of his teeth, or whatever you call it. He's on 50.28%, and the Liberal candidate 49.72.
Wow.
That's very, very close.
Dude, you'd buy a lottery ticket, wouldn't you, if you won that?
Wow.
And I don't live in your region of the country. What do you think that would mean for you if it swapped? So you end up with a Labor Party person.
If we ended up with a Liberal person here,
Sorry, a Liberal person.
well, I don't know. I mean, our Liberal candidate, I think this is the first time he's been put up to this. I think it's been his first time in this electorate. So, I mean, if he's voted in, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, like I would with any new candidate, I'd be keen to see what he can do if he gets in. I mean, truth be told, I don't know. You see, we've also had all our issues with the Ipswich City Council here as well. Corruption, and they had the whole council dismissed, and they've got administrators in there now. So it's not only our local candidate, but our council needs cleaning up as well. So I don't know. He'd have his work cut out for him, I think. Either one of the candidates would, trying to get everything back on track again. So 2 Lord Mayors we had up on charges.
Wow. Yeah, I find the way they do that over east for the local councils is very political. Like, they go around party lines, whereas over here in Western Australia, it's often very apolitical. Like, people just run because they want to run, not because they're members of a party.
Although I must say, we're in Jura. I don't think that gives away our location, considering that's from the Kimberley all the way down. It's like the biggest electorate in Australia, and yet the smallest population of Western Australia.
You guys are looking very, 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 very heavy for Labor.
Which, yeah, I know, and that freaks me out. We have been a safe Liberal seat since 1968.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, right? Melissa Price from Labor is sitting at 65.44%.
Liberal.
That's Liberal. Sorry, they've got the graph back to front on this one. Sorry, the Liberal candidate is on 65.44%.
Wow.
And the Labor candidate's on 34.56. Sorry, they had the graph back to front on this one.
I was going to say, if we flip, we have been such a safe Liberal seat for so long. And the thing is,
that's misleading.
Our lovely Senator Melissa Price has done so much for our region from north to south, made sure there's so much government funding for people all over our part of the state that I'm not surprised, because even people who vote Labor in the overall still vote for Melissa, because she does such wonderful work.
Well, let me put something to you that's very interesting then. Our Lord Mayor Pasali, who used to be our Lord Mayor before he was arrested on fraud charges and taking money off developers.
Lovely guy.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No. The authorities were pissed off with him because he broke the law and everything like that. But the general consensus around Ipswich and everything is he took money from developers. Now, who cares? He has done a ton for Ipswich. Well, he's done amazing things for Ipswich, and it seems to be that people don't care that he's embezzled money because he's done so much.
Well, you could say the same thing for Melissa Price. I mean, she's in the cabinet as the environmental minister, and totally okay the Great Barrier Reef getting shit on. So that's on the other side of the country. So don't worry.
Yeah, it's possibly a Robin Hood situation. You rob from the rich and give to the slightly less rich.
I don't know about that analogy, but
but I mean, you have to weigh up, what he's done for good versus what he's done for bad, if you want to call it that. Certainly, he's broken the law, and he deserves to be, held to that.
Well, I can tell you, Western Australia, Forest has gone back to the Liberals. What else have we got here? Holt has gone to the ALP, Country Victoria. It's really interesting that some of the things that are flipping are crazy. Cowper's stuck with the Nats. That's in Queensland. That's your neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm. Which one's that one?
Cowper.
Cowper.
Yes. Bendigo stayed with the ALP. Ballarat's flipped to the ALP. And Christopher Pine is definitely gone one way or another. Because Adelaide flipped
Pine
to the
didn't
ALP.
run again, did he?
No, he wasn't. But at least Adelaide might get. I don't know if the Labor candidates are going to be any good compared to the last two Liberal winning candidates in Adelaide, Alexander and Christopher Pine. Anybody? I mean, Jesus Christ, they've got to have a good one eventually. Poor Adelaide. Oh, I'll never forget that picture of Alexander Downer in the fishnet stockings. I'm the leader of the Liberal Party. And what was Christopher Pine's big one? I'm a fixer.
I'm a fixer. I'm a fixer. I fix things.
He's Bob the Builder.
So we're sort of going through all the major issues and stuff like that.
No, not really. Well,
Okay.
bring them up.
Yeah, all right. So just obviously we can't go through everything. Just trying to find that. No, because I work in finance. Obviously, the big one is the franking credits.
Yes.
So not a fan of that. Although they have made it so it doesn't affect pensioners.
Which is good.
It is, because people obviously rely on that sort of stuff. And I am not for that in any way, shape or form.
Hang on, you're not for removing it, or you're not for?
Yeah, I'm not for removing it. I mean, I think they should be able to have access to excess franking credits.
Yes.
Because it's let's, for an example, BP owe you $100. They're going to pay you $70 and prepay $30 in tax. So if I haven't paid tax this year, just like anything else, I should be able to pay tax. If I'm under the tax-free threshold, I should be able to claim any tax back that I've paid. So I think they should be able to get it.
And the negative gearing's an issue too.
It is. I'm not sure. I'm definitely for negative gearing for new properties. How I feel about old properties, I'm not sure, because I mean, obviously the house prices are going down anyway, so that will have some sort of effect.
Barnaby keeps his seat.
Joyce.
Yeah, he keeps his seat.
I think
So, yeah.
70%.
Well, so the Nats have got two now then. Jesus. Well, there you go. The Nats stay safe for another election cycle. Well, how are the Greens going? Actually, that'd be interesting, because last time I looked, they only had one seat in the.
Which one?
The Greens have only still got one seat in the House of Reps at this stage. So that's quite interesting. They did have three. So, yeah, and just confirmation has just come through the ABC. Peter Dutton has retained his seat. So that's now completely confirmed. The Sontaran of the Australian political scene.
How do we think they're going to go with climate change? That's a big one.
It would appear that Queensland is slamming Labor.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay.
Well, that might be a big chink in their armor, because when you think about the three states that usually decide the election, of course, you've got the biggest, most popular state, New South Wales, then Victoria, then you guys coming in third. But if you've got us going back to Liberal, you guys going to Liberal, it'd be interesting to see where Tasmania ends up with the Greens. Northern Territory is usually Liberal. It looks like South Australia might have swung somewhat. It's going to be very interesting to see where this all ends up. Just having a look at Forest again. Yeah, that's 100% Libs. Libs will win that. It's 72-28, and the results for us still haven't come in. Come on, Brycey. she was at the polls today.
Okay. Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Down at one of the primary schools there.
Oh, okay.
And she was there and smiling away. That was nice. But the funny thing is, she left, and as I left the polling base, the Labor Party guy was there in his red shirt, gut hanging out, fag out of the side of his mouth. Oh, you want to like Labor? What a progressive party over here. Oh, Jesus Christ, just before you weren't like that when bloody you would have kicked your butt.
I'm not a huge fan of those people waving pieces of paper at you when you go and try and vote. But as long as they're respectful, I can deal with it. I certainly don't. Yeah, they all ask you if you want a sheet and just say no and you move on. That's fine.
Yeah, it's utterly ridiculous. But yeah, no. How was your democracy sausage, Barry?
Hey,
how was your democracy sausage?
They had no democracy sausages at the polling place.
Treason.
No, I was very early. I went at 8 o'clock and I didn't have any.
They didn't have them there, but they did have Domino's handing out democracy vouchers.
Come shop with us. It's democratic. Got a corporation.
Wow.
No, seriously, they were standing there with the people who were handing out how to vote cards, and they were handing out Domino's vouchers.
I can imagine which one's got no more notice.
It was a cracker.
Was it the Australian Pizza Party they were representing?
The Domino's party.
America's affecting the election. Look out.
And it said on the voucher, vote 1 for hunger. And I thought, well, that makes no sense. If you're eating pizza, you're not hungry.
Hunger.
What? They're voting for the starving tribes in Africa now.
Actually, I am seeing some results in WA.
Mm-hmm.
Forest.
Yes.
And the Liberals are holding it 64% to 35%.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only one I see.
Well, you've got quite a few here actually. Brisbane has gone for the LNP, mate.
Hmm.
Wow, that was ALP. There you go. You're right. You guys have really gone hard. Oh my God.
And Katter has obviously got his North Queensland part.
Yep.
And a lot of Queensland is all Liberal.
Yeah. Well, Gippsland's gone national.
And of course, almost all of Tasmania is sitting with Labor.
Which is actually quite a turnaround because usually they're Greens.
And then you've got, how about that? Prediction for Melbourne is the Greens.
Now, that doesn't shock anybody who's bloody been following
It was held by Greens previously.
It's the Paris of bloody Australia. Oh, look at us. We have croissants. Oh, we're Melbourne. We're so chic. Oh, so progressive. Oh, we're Melbourne. Oh, God. Nuke the place. No offense to the people in Melbourne. Don't nuke Melbourne. Leave the MCG. The rest of us can go. We need the cricket.
So with the democracy sausages, none were there. Maybe they were worried that someone would slip on an onion. But yeah, the democracy vouchers really made me chuckle. And it was so much so that we ended up getting pizza tonight using one of those vouchers. I thought, bugger it.
Democracy.
See, well, that's what all those sheets that they handed out work. You were influenced.
Oh, here we go. Sports bet. has narrowed the Coalition and Labor. They're fairly close now.
Yep.
So they're swinging all over the place. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Monash has gone to the Liberals at this point. The funny thing is, most of Western Australia hasn't been counted yet. You've got Reid, Perth, Pearce haven't been counted.
Close now, isn't it?
Yeah, 6 o'clock. Stirling, Sturt, Swan, Tagney. It's got Werriwa hasn't gone anywhere yet. Hang on.
Look at that. So you got 52 seats to the Liberals and 48 to Labor.
Oh, close.
Yeah, the funny thing is this is now sort of, to me, shaping up like last election. You know, last election it was really, really, really close. And in the end, I think it was Western Australia that decided it by how everybody's seats went to the Liberal Party because it was just so close elsewhere in the country. And because in Western Australia, we just don't give a fuck. You know? Well, screw the rest of you, know?
Have you tried to actually look at how many teams parties you could vote for in the Senate?
Yes.
I'm just scrolling through now. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, some of them sort of make sense. The Affordable Housing Party, I reckon we could take a wild guess on what they're for.
Or the Firearms and Fishing Party.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for it, but,
There's a federal Western Australia party.
See, the thing is, though, right, with so the Coalition has 52 seats. That would mean that the Liberal Party, that would be counting both the Nationals and the Liberals.
Yes.
Mm.
I think that's a typo. I'm not sure, because then they've got another one with the National Party. It's like, well, how can you have Liberal votes, LNP votes, and then a separate National Party vote? How do you figure that?
I don't understand that either. But the thing is if the coalition, if the Liberals and the Coalition ever split,
Yeah.
I don't think the Liberals would ever get enough votes to form a government again.
Well, I'm not quite sure about that. I know that was the sort of tricky dicky game they played in '96. But you've got to think how many Conservative parties exist now.
Well, yeah, it's basically split the votes, hasn't it?
Well, you think about it. I mean, they went with the National Party because they were really the only other Conservative party at the time. That was it. Then I think it was like a year later, or a couple of years later, you end up with Pauline Hanson. So now you've got another Conservative option, and now you've got Katter and you've got Clive Palmer and United Australia Party, things like that. You've got tons of more Conservative parties that you could give preferences to. But it's such a mistake in giving the preferences. I'm going to repeat myself here, but giving his preferences to the United Australia Party and not keeping it with One Nation is madness. It's terrible. They'd probably be at least another 3 seats up if they had gone One Nation.
Questions raised after One Nation leader is nowhere to be seen.
probably an advantage, really, isn't
it? Isn't it burn off season now? Yeah. Somebody mistook her for a bloody fire and trying to put her out. Yeah.
I have to admit, when I went to vote this morning, I did not know who the Vote Flux party was.
The vote who?
The voteflux.org.
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Have you got any more information on that strange?
Elected Flux MPs and senators give up their autonomy and use their votes in line with the outcomes produced by the Flux member voting ecosystem, an ecosystem comprised of ordinary Aussies like you. Right, I guess that what they're doing is representing their population, but that's taken it to an nth degree, shall we say.
Are they anti-vaxxers? They sound like anti-vaxxers.
There's an anti-vax party.
Oh, Jesus.
What is that? Hang on. There is, I don't think they're called that. They're called like health party or something like that.
That would be ironic. We believe in health, by the way. Kids are going to die.
Yeah. So, Health Australia Party fights for basic tenets of medical ethics such as informed consent and individualised care, and is opposed to no jab, no play.
No. Well, Jurek is now officially Melissa Price. Congratulations, Melissa Price. You're back in for us. Thank you very much. Keep up the good hard work and give our mayor hell he needs it.
I'm reading a lot of stuff in the news now.
Good.
And it's they're sort of gone from shorten to take the election to here's a headline: nightmare could be unfolding for Labor as crucial numbers fall coalition's way.
Well, the projection is neck and neck now for the top rank for the PCP. And for those who want to know what that is, the link is in the chat. It's the only thing in the chat. That's okay. It's not the first time I've been stood up at a wedding. Well, actually, that's not true. Yeah. Drunk philosophy, what do you do? And the independent vote is still tiny. You know, all these people, like, especially people like I said, we're all going to vote independent, and it's done in this way.
Do we have any news on how Fraser Anning's party's doing?
Well, I can't see it anywhere. I'll have a look. Fraser Anning. The Anning party, is it?
I think it's the Fraser Anning.
Party results.
It's just that there was a lot of people on Facebook saying Fraser Anning will take. He'll absolutely ignite and get heaps of seats and stuff like that. And I kept thinking to myself that, they said the same thing about Pauline Hanson and One Nation.
Well, I mean, he's done well in the sense that he's gotten popular, but I think he's only really gotten popular on the fringe on the right.
The thing is that the votes have been split, but like the as people call it, the nut job votes have been split between Anning's party and One Nation.
Yeah.
Effectively, instead of jumping on and being a force to be reckoned with, they've split. They've basically they've split the vote.
Yeah.
Which means One Nation won't do as well, and neither will Anning's party.
Well, the reason they split the vote is simply because there are so many people. There's only so many people on that fringe right element that will vote for either party. To be quite frank, so they weren't fighting after new voters; they were fighting us as the same group.
Yeah.
You know, a majority of people are moderates, so that's where you're going to get the differences. I don't see too many people wanting to support Senator Anning. And even if they don't agree on some of Pauline Hanson's social policies, you go to her webpage and look at what she wants to do with the economy, and she's got nothing there. It's terrible. Every time I go there, I just want to go away from it. I mean, you give everyone a shot, but I mean, she's been running exactly the same platform since, 98? It hasn't changed.
She's done a pretty good job of hanging around so long. I mean, it's 20 odd years.
Yes.
You know what's funny is I've got a workmate at work. Now this is going to be interesting because he listens to Alan Jones and what's his name, Ray Hadley.
Oh, yep.
And he's one of those from the school of hard knocks type of people. You know, you would expect him to vote either Liberal or Anning. But I spoke to him and I said, well, who do you normally vote for? He goes, oh, I'm a union man. I vote for Labor. Mm-hmm. I nearly fell off my bloody chair because he sounded like he would, the typical stereotype when it comes to those type of voters. You know what I mean. And I nearly fell off my chair. I said, well, okay, well, who are you voting for this election? He goes, Pauline's got my vote. I said, right. Oh. So what policies do you agree with Pauline Hanson? He goes, she tells it like it is. I said, policy. He goes, no, she just tells it like it is, and she sticks it to those main parties. I went, yeah, but that's not a policy, mate.
Well, we've just got to
And that is what this election's about.
Well,
This ain't what I like. I'll vote for them. It's got nothing to do with policies.
Breaking news. Famous Australian political commentator, partisan commentator to the left, Anthony Green has now come out and said it's hard to see how Labor can reach government with the coalition holding the lead in the national gap. And Penny Wong herself, Labor senator, has acknowledged that Queensland is a major problem for the NLP. So maybe that Queensland swings it entirely.
Yeah. But sorry, Dan, going back to your point, I mean, I think a lot of people vote for the person, that's not necessarily the party politics.
Yeah, Nathan and I discussed that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, is that wrong? I'm not sure. Obviously, democratically, they can do what they want. And he's obviously paid attention, which is more than 50% of the voters. Statistics made up. Yeah, so, but yeah, not the way we'd like to see everyone do it.
I think it's part of the issue nowadays in regards to our political environment. It's all based off of, it's like what I said to Nathan earlier. Someone had said, "Oh, I'm voting Liberal." I said, "So why are you voting Liberal?" They're like, "Oh, I just don't like Shorten."
Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately,
that's exactly it.
Yeah, the leaders of the major parties are somewhat boring, shall we say?
I also think that there's social politics in this because I mean, I'm going to make a gross generalisation here, but the average Australian has a really good nose for bullshit, to put it bluntly, especially the working class. And when you've got a whole heap of rich people and they come in and they start telling you how you have to live your life, or they comes in and says, "Oh, well, we're going to do this for this group, that for this group," and everyone say, "Well, what about us? You're leaving us all behind." That's going to piss off a hell of a lot of people. And Scott Morrison, I mean, I made a video yesterday where he basically said, "Well, what's Liberal obviously going to give us the same as they've given us for the last 7 odd years, but at the same time, there's safety in that fact." And so, is it better the devil you know, or the devil that sounds like they're going to screw you?
I don't know.
And I think that plays into it as well. Because I mean, Bill Shorten, you know, he's a trade union man, right? Like hockey's background, but he doesn't talk. It doesn't sound like a trade union guy.
Okay, I think I got a question for both you and Michael. Well, Jonesy isn't there at the moment, but I'll ask you the question and we can ask him when he gets back.
I'll pretend to be Jonesy.
If Labor lose the election, do you think that Bill Shorten's leadership will be under pressure?
Under pressure, I predict. Well, hang on, repeat the question so Jonesy can.
Oh, there he is. He's back again.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to check on my drinks in the freezer.
Okay, so if Labor lose this election, Jonesy and Nathan, do you think that Bill Shorten's leadership will be under threat?
Oh, it'd have to be, surely.
People have come out and said how much they don't like him. It's, and losing this election is grounds under the Labor's rules for them to get rid of Shorten. So I think they might put up another leader if they lose this election, and I don't know.
Look, I think that
who would it be?
I mean, you need someone that can win an election. He's proven that he can't.
Well, this will be the second election he's lost.
Yeah.
Third.
So I think you've got to look for elsewhere for leadership. And
that leads to the obvious next question.
Who is it?
Well, okay, who is it? Each one of us are show a prediction right now in the Labor Party. Who should take over?
Oh God, I couldn't tell you.
I'm going to give you my bet. Who I'd like to see, but who I think could end up with the job. Who I'd like to see is Penny Wong.
Yeah.
But who I think will be Albanese.
I think it'll be Albanese as well.
He's youngish for a politician. He's pretty good with the mic. Yeah, he can cut a promo like no one else I've ever seen. In the ring, that second round, his work rate is absolutely fantastic, and he's a great baby face. I think that he should be the next conversation.
All right. Well,
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I actually don't. I don't know enough about them. I got to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
okay. Same question for the coalition. If they lose,
Oh, Turner's gone.
Yeah.
but who would be the leader? I'd be tipping Dutton.
Oh yeah.
Oh, don't do that to us.
No, I mean that's what I mean. A lot of the seniors of the Liberal Party will be gone. Tony Abbott's out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the senior cabinet ministers have said that they're not running. They're not going to be around.
Yeah, but
Well, they say that, yeah, you say that because you don't get kicked out.
Do you know who I reckon it might be?
Yeah, but still, I mean, who's left? Who would be left to lead or be a possible leader for the Liberal Party? I think Dutton would probably step up.
It'll either be it Dutton, fair enough.
That was a good call.
However, I reckon because they're now looking at the whole social progressive issues as well, why not Julia Bishop?
Wasn't she leaving?
She's been in the cabinet pretty much ever since the day she got in, whether she's in opposition or not. She knows the role. She'd be
but isn't she leaving though? She quit, didn't she?
Well, so did Penny Wong apparently after the last election.
I don't know. I'm just.
How are we going in that long before I make that?
It'll be interesting to see what happens after the federal election, regardless of who wins. Because obviously there's going to be a bit of dust to settle afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there always is. There's going to be some major changes.
Here we go. The news reports have changed. Shock result looms for Labor as growing confidence Scott Morrison's government can hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that we may be looking down the barrels of exactly. Remember last election, because last election was the same sort of thing. There's going to be a swing towards Labor of 4 to 5%, all that sort of stuff. That was last election. Then when we actually got to the day, somehow Turnbull strapped in. So it's quite possible that people have just said, well, we're up to 54 seats for the coalition, 51 for the Labor Party. So there's 22 seats left for the Liberal Party to win compared to 25 seats needed by the ALP.
Still fairly close, though.
Oh, it's extremely close. But yeah, Queensland, the amount of contested seats in Queensland, if you can find a graph with that, I've got one here, and my golly gosh, it is incredible. Basically, Queensland, I think Queensland will decide the election. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Because most of the close seats now are in Queensland. I can't believe somebody voted bloody Greenstack in bloody Melbourne. Melbourne, mate, pick up your game. Come on. Little bloody Paris. And out come the Yellow Jackets getting a little man to come out and what the Premier to come out and start hitting people with batons.
It looks like the Labor Party is going to hang on. The Labor Party is definitely hanging by the skin of its teeth in Blair. Wow, that's amazing. That's very close.
Yeah.
Another one is what is it? It's what's this electorate? Longman has the Liberals just in front.
How's Morton going?
Hey,
How's Morton going in Queensland?
just let me have a look. Where's Morton? Moncrief, McPherson, Wright, Blair, Oxley. Oh, Oxley's gone to Labor. Morton. Yeah. Where's Morton? I can't find Morton.
Well, I've got the numbers here, but it says that it's close at the moment.
Yeah, I can't find it on the map.
Oh, right. You've got the Australian map there, have you?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the interactive map to try and find it. Morton. Yeah. Where's Morton? Oh, here we go. Morton. Currently held by the Labor Party. The Labor Party is ahead by the skin of its teeth as well.
How much of it's that?
52% to 48.
Mm-hmm.
Griffith is ahead for the Labor Party, 53.2 to 46.
Now, here's something interesting for you. Something to consider. Now, Clive Palmer's a Queenslander, right?
Yeah.
And he owns, he's a hotelier, isn't he?
He's mining magnate.
Mining. How many people does he employ that might be voting for him? You've got a shit ton of mining there in Queensland.
I don't know. He let a fair few people off.
True, but how many people does he employ? And how many families and then families and then families? You know, I'm not suggesting he's rigging anything, but he employs them.
Oh, wow.
Is this one of those not suggesting suggestions?
Yes. Well, I mean, I used to like what he's
Yeah, that's right. I'm not suggesting he's an alcoholic, but
well,
Liberals to take Herbert.
who's taking Herbert?
Well, the Herbert was a Labor-held seat in North Queensland. It looks like the Liberals are going to take it.
Curtains gone to the lips.
Mm-hmm.
And down near Brisbane, if the trend continues, Labor could be picking up another 1, 2, 3, 4 seats down there.
Wow. Hume went to the Liberal Party. That's interesting.
So the ones closer to Brisbane looks like that they might hit Labor, possibly. Yeah. I if I was Morrison, I wouldn't be counting my chickens just yet.
Oh, no, he can't count his chickens because Labor's still in front of the real vote. But not by much. I mean, if I was George Shorten right now, all Morrison vote, Morrison, he'd be like, because he's the underdog, he'd be like, come on, get it in, come on, should be sitting there. Oh, piss off, get off my back. This was the Melbourne Cup. There'd be a nose in it, mate.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they're looking the electric to get quicker. Get on. Wow.
Actually, what time do they stop counting at night?
No, they don't. No. The only time that ever occurred in Australian history, I think, was 1903, where there wasn't enough electricity.
So what, do they keep counting through the night?
Well, they used to.
They still do.
Yeah, but I mean,
if there's no result before 3 a.m., I think that's not.
Well, I know that in the state election here, they stopped counting at 6 p.m. every day, and it took a while before we had a result.
Well, 6 p.m. they start counting.
Yeah.
No. I meant if they've been counting throughout the day, they'll stop at 6 p.m.
Okay. But I mean, it's like last election when we had a result on the first night, but it was a clear result, but they had to count all the preferences. It still took 3 or 4 days for us to get we all knew the result. But,
the postal votes and things like that.
Yeah.
Wait for them.
Yep. And I mean, let's face it, if it ends up being Labor win by 1 seat, but the preferences they put them, say, behind, even though they won the clear vote, then they have to form a coalition. We may not have government until Wednesday, Thursday this next week.
So I'm reading that Labor cannot form a majority government, that's for certain, according to this website at least.
Which website would that be?
News.com.au.
Ah, very good.
Has anybody ever actually worked an election in a polling place?
Nah.
I've worked for the ABC when I had to go around and knock on people's doors to see if they've got a voting ticket on them.
Oh, okay.
I don't do that anymore.
No, that's right. Because I've worked at a few of them, well, not for the last few years.
Yeah.
It's definitely an experience and meeting the general population and the differences that people have in their attitudes to voting. Like, we used to count the votes and there'd be so many with just someone voted for Captain Marvel or someone wrote in the corner saying something along the lines of, in a democracy we shouldn't be forced to vote, and thereby proving that they didn't vote and they weren't forced to. You're forced to turn up. I will grant you that. And there's certainly arguments for and against that. Yeah, well, that's right. And a lot of people. Well, yes, I grant. Yeah, you have to turn up, get your name ticked off, and you can turn around and pop it straight in the box if you wanted to.
How do you feel about the idea this year? You don't just get your $20 fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you get your $20 fine, but you don't pay it, you lose your driver's license.
I don't like that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I was just looking at this website. Anthony Green, who's usually fairly accurate with his predictions, he has predicted LNP 73 seats, ALP 65, Greens 1, and other 4.
That's too big. No, that's too big.
That's what he's saying. He's saying that the Labor, you can't see Labor forming government. He says he thinks it's a matter of the LNP forming a majority or a minority of government.
Mm-hmm. Well, that I would agree with, based on current swings.
I'm still not particularly sure on that, the differential, though. But hey, I mean.
Well, I'm not sure. 3 hours ago, he said that Anthony Green says both sides are racing to reach the finish line. So that's real high quality advice.
Well, usually he is fairly accurate.
Well, of course they're both racing to reach the finish line. But no, I mean, I have no problem with him.
So we're looking here at the moment.
It's interesting, given that they haven't won a news poll. What was it, 70? They lost 70 news polls or something.
Yeah.
It's just, I just find it interesting.
Wow, really? I tell you what, Victoria is so ALP. That's not funny. I'm on the mobile abc.net.au site, Victoria votes. My God, there is no gains for the Liberal Party at all. There's only losses to the Labor Party. The Greens beat the Labor Party, which I think we've already sort of discussed. But yeah, no, the ALP have had massive wins in Victoria. Massive wins. And Liberals have lost at least 8 to 9 seats in Victoria alone to this point. That's absolutely incredible. It's amazing when you look at the stats. Victoria has turned into sort of the progressive state, haven't they, really? Interesting how different states in Australia do that, you know. The guys who do bugger all work, like Victorians, they go for the progressive party, and the hard workers like us over here in the West, we go for the Liberal Party. I don't know why I didn't come to the party and learn the bloody Liberal Party. Thumbs up, yeah, Liberals. Yeah. But all of this reminds me of Christopher Hitchens. He once said something, very wise man, Christopher Hitchens. He once said something that you can tell if a person is a liberal or not. That's liberal in the political sense, not in the American sense of partisanship. He says you can tell if someone's a liberal because they always vote for the least worst. It's true. I'm a moderate liberal. How can you tell? I don't like anybody. I'm going to vote for the least. The person is the least shit.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Labor might take Northern Territory.
Who?
Labor might take Northern Territory.
That'd be interesting.
52.6 to 47.4.
Oh, Jesus, that's a big difference. They might. But then
And they're only set to win 2 seats in WA.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a huge turn, though. I mean, the Perth metropolitan area, Queensland, places like that have been ALP for years. It's mainly country Western Australia that's Liberal.
But I can't find any electorates where One Nation are going to pick anything up.
Not even Queensland.
No. I see there is one where One Nation second of the two candidate preferred, and that's what's that one? That's Maranoa, which is the southwest of Queensland.
Yeah.
Pauline Hanson's One Nation, 27.2%. Liberal National Party, 72.8%.
My God, the actual TCP at the moment.
But I can't see anything with One Nation.
Well, the actual TCP at the moment, where it sits, the projection is now literally equal.
Wow.
That's a huge turnaround from an hour ago. A massive turnaround. But luckily, you weren't here to the beginning of the chat, because the chat actually started 10 minutes late because I can't computer.
Computer says no.
Yeah.
Everything says no to me.
I can't believe it. So Sportsbet, from the start of the night, they had Sportsbet had Labor sitting at $1.25 and the Liberals at $6.
Jeez.
Now they've got the Coalition at $1.05 and Labor at $8.
Wow, that's a big swing.
Well, look, I tell you what, if all the pundits are now going that way, that tells you something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to put $1 million of Labor Party and see if that can come through, you know.
Actually, there was someone who did put $1 million on Labor to win.
Yeah.
He might actually lose his $1 million.
Yeah, it's going to be close.
I wonder if he's sitting there going, "Come on, I've got $1 million on this. Come on."
So yeah, the ABC, and it doesn't matter how you think of your bias, whatever you want to say. The ABC is usually pretty good on these sorts of things. Looks definitely more like the LNP on projection are going to win, Darren. So, and Michael, so there you go. So that's, and SBS who are very left are saying the same thing. So there you go. I mean, you know, I wonder if I looked up the Young Turks. You know?
Yes.
Not like a shit about Australian politics. Andrew Bolt right now, he must be smiling. He is sitting on beauty. It reminds me, I posted an email here today of Bob Hawke.
Yeah.
You know, sitting in his step chair with his thumbs up going, I had to bloody live through Rowan Gillard. I'm not staying around for short. I think he being a Labor man through would have appreciated that, but I understood the sentiments.
Yeah. Oh, well, just on that then, did we think that affected the election at all? Or prior to the actual election, did we think it was going to affect it?
What, talking guy?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a lot of sentiment there for Hawke. I liked him.
Yeah, but it's sentiment from people our age and older.
Well, I'd vote too.
Yeah, no, most people our age and older have already said their vote.
Well, that's true.
We already know what we're going to vote for, and we will stand for the sentimentality.
Yeah.
Anyone younger than us, they're going to be sitting going, oh yeah, mum and dad are sad, grandma and grandpa are sad, we don't give a. Yeah.
I mean, he can drink 2 pints in 11 seconds. You got to be happy with that from a prime minister.
Any boss who's fired his work and not turn up tomorrow.
Yeah.
I heard that not called him gay. They said already. Every damn word. Real bad.
Because I've tried drinking pints in that sort of time, and I certainly can't do it.
He's pissing you.
Oh, well, back in the day.
You also have a mate.
Yeah,
that's right. This one time.
It was one time at band camp.
Oh my God. So Labor picked up another 2 seats, Liberals will pick up another seat, so it's 57 to 53. So it is neck and neck. These guys are that close. It's not funny.
It is. It is very close.
If the coalition win,
Mhm.
what is the headline article on the front page of tomorrow's Guardian newspaper?
Okay.
Australia's all racist? Are we bigots?
I still think that with a different leader, I reckon that Labor would have been doing a lot better.
Yeah. How about Australia closer and closer to America votes in idiots?
Yeah.
That needs better wording, obviously. But you get what I mean.
I don't know. You see something typeset says the spelling is worse than terrible. I worked for 4 years of journalism at university.
Oh, yeah.
Stop talking.
All right, guys, I'm going to have to sign out. It's getting a bit late over in the east here.
Yep.
Oh, it's only not nearly 10 o'clock. What's wrong with you?
So, good luck with the rest of the podcast, and
Yep.
I'll catch you guys later.
Thank you for joining us. He's up. Yeah, really strange.
What's that?
Yeah, 1 minute later.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're going to win it now. Down to the point.
Mhm.
We might end up in the Liberals back here.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a bit of an upset.
A bit. Feel like hugging the flag. So that's what I'm about to say. That's how the hell did it happen?
Like the Eagles in the last year.
Well, up yours too.
Yeah.
No, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's. So it's going to be, whatever happens, it's going to be pretty close.
It is.
Yeah. So how do we feel about that giving all the power to the minor parties? I mean, obviously, it's always been that way. But, obviously, pick a number, 90% of people have voted for the two major parties.
Mm.
But all the power comes down to the couple 100,000 people who voted for the independents or the minor parties.
Sure. Look, I think that it's going to be like it always is. That once again, the Liberal Party made a huge miscalculation by swapping out One Nation for the Australian United Party.
Yep.
If they had gone One Nation, okay, One Nation may not get a seat, but they're guaranteed to have a good spread of votes across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it looks like, Parliament might get maybe 6.
Yep.
They sided with Canada. Canada's now on 1 seat.
Mm-hmm.
But Greens have got 1 seat. So the independents have got 2 so far. One is the United Australia Party and one is One Nation.
Yep.
So they might have some power.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, look, we always go by, one vote. Everyone's got the same amount of power with 1 vote sort of thing.
Mm.
But it's not going to be that way. It's going to have those 2 seats or those 4 seats, whatever it ends up being, are going to be much, much more powerful than everybody else's seat.
Well, that's true. I'm just glad that it hasn't ended up like I was hearing something like Sweden. We've got 200 different parties and they all have to sort of make deals with each other and nothing gets done.
Yeah. Whereas this way we've got 4 parties and nothing gets done. It's much simpler.
Well, the Liberals didn't promise to do anything.
No.
I think it's literally a case of better than devil,
Yeah. And I mean, and in the lead up to the election, they all make these promises. And the promises they make are so similar. It just annoys the hell out of me.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh no, we're going to change the the tax brackets. Oh no, we're going to change the tax brackets as well. It's going to make $3 difference a year.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
And then sitting there going, well, what was it? We're going to reintroduce, I should say, a first home buyers grant.
Yes.
And then they go, oh yeah, we're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're going to do an extra 2%. They're like, oh, we can do 3.
Yeah, that's right.
Guys,
They're going to guarantee loans to avoid the mortgage insurance and things like that. Yeah.
And what do you think about the Labor Party? One of the things that did impress me about the fiscal policy was improving more wage rises.
Mm.
Because I'm starting to think, well, the disparity between the people on the dole or old age pensions or whatever,
You start.
and the difference between people who work,
Yep.
that's becoming bigger, which means that now the businesses have to pay more money.
Yes.
You're paying more for the product, which means they pay more for the product. I mean, they haven't had a wage increase. So you're actually starving those people. Plus, you've got additions to tobacco tax, the alcohol tax. The majority of people who drink are from the poorer parts of society.
Yes.
You know, the higher fuel taxes, which have been promised again by Labor Party, but we're going to add an extra 0.002, so it doesn't matter. It's like, well, if you haven't got a job, but you've got a car and you need to drive to get your job, well, the first what are you going to do?
Well, especially people that live in the country who require a car. We don't have adequate public transport in a lot of places.
Yeah, and their environment is so crap. It's like, oh, we're going to keep coal-fired and pretend that we're not.
Yes. Well, my favourite one was the childcare. We're going to raise childcare wages by 20%.
And then no one can afford to put their
Well,
children
that's
in
right.
childcare.
I mean, childcare is a very weird one because it's like people are complaining that it's too expensive, but they're also complaining that the people that work here don't get paid enough.
You take one of the other guys.
Yeah, that's right. And I would agree that, I think $22 an hour they were talking about. I wouldn't look after a bunch of kids for that.
No.
And more power to them that do.
No.
But it's just not a sustainable system the way it is now.
No, it's not. And it's basic economics, really, it is. And it's a flow-on effect. And it's like, well, okay, the more you pay people, the more then the people who are a layer above you go, come on, you didn't get in. And it just goes up through the ranks. And I can guarantee you that, Mr. Shorten, if he gets in, and he still might, by the way, but if he gets in, I'm sure he's going to not, give himself a pay stay for the next 3.5 years. He's going to use his own car to get to and from.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ability to hold the house. It's just amazing.
Yep.
The audacity of these people. So we're still on 57.53 at this point. And this is where the night starts getting really slow.
Yes.
Really slow.
Well, that's right, because some have finished and some are just starting over here. Well, not just starting, they've been going for a couple of hours.
Although, the actual TCP, Liberal Party have taken the lead in the actual count according to the AEC now.
Okay.
So this is not the media, guys. This is the Australian Electoral Commission official site.
And you know they're the government, so they must be right.
Shut up, you. Look, Trump was not investigated by the FBI during his election. Which was interestingly enough that yesterday he did.
Yeah.
And he used the word treason for once, nobody else did. Oh shit. Obama was a treasonous prick. Funnily enough. But yeah, it looks like the Libs are going to win.
Yeah, it does.
That is, the swing has gone the opposite way. Labor an hour ago was sitting on plus 0.15. They've now dropped down to 0.88 into the negative. I'm just watching this, the numbers just disappearing for them. It's absolutely crazy. So the two contested at close seats at the moment are looking at the Swan, which is held by the Liberals. The Liberals have gone down negative 3.13, but only 5.36% of the votes are counted, so that means bugger all. And Cohen, which is held by the Labor Party, have gained 0.75 over the Liberals, and that's 13.66. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I declare that somebody is going to win the election this year.
Yeah, I'm just reading through a bit of the coalition's highlights. And they're not great.
Hit me.
Yeah, I mean, doubling the low income and middle income tax offset.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's great.
Yes.
I fully support that.
Yes.
What else I got? Hang on. No, climate change. No, not going climate change. Okay, stop employees who are misclassified as casuals from being back paid entitlements. That's fair enough, I guess, because you get the loading for casual.
Well, that's true.
Mm.
And you can understand it from the point of view that if you employ someone as a casual employee for 20 years,
Yep.
and then you do a retroactive law,
Yep.
Holy crap, you're going to bankrupt companies. You're just going to bankrupt them. Because every job you've ever worked as a casual employee, you can hit them up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Perspective. So that's why
a two-year freeze on growth of funding for Commonwealth supported places university to save $2 billion, with reviews on freedom of speech on Australian campuses and performance funding for universities.
Mm-hmm.
So freedom of speech on campuses is a big issue.
Yep. I mean, the freedom of speech, campuses still have freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
It's just likely to be drowned out by people wearing all black and throwing stones at you.
Well, that's right. I mean, I get people have every right to protest any sorts of freedom, any sorts of speech, but it shouldn't turn violent. I don't think.
Exactly.
I don't care who's coming in. It shouldn't turn violent.
No. Mind you, you don't have too much anti-virus. So it's really funny because when Lauren Southern came and she was talking about there's a big protest about me outside of Melbourne, and she's got a tour bus about it. There's like 4 people standing next to her, and they are the most drug fuck boys. So it's like, here we are, fucking bitch,
Yeah.
And these people had no idea what they were even there. I left them like that.
I mean, we've certainly seen the results of that too on one occasion.
Oh, yes. Milo Yiannopoulos, people chose instead of going to the closest bus station or train station. So
literally 20 metres from where we were.
And then the Christmas carousel, so which was one furthest away, like 2.5 k's away. Mm-hmm. And then realised that like the 3 main streets of Perth were all blocked off. And they didn't turn up till about an hour after everyone got in. I'm still pissed off. I would have loved to have looked at the video.
And as I said, they have every right to protest. More power to them.
Absolutely.
But look, do it properly. If you're being out-organised by Milo Yiannopoulos, there's something going wrong.
How did you do that? The thing is, Milo courts it. He likes the controversy.
Yeah, I wanted to see it.
Yeah, I wanted to see it. So I remember at the time we were actually working on a Flintstone project, which never went anywhere. And we wanted to interview people and talk to them. And it was literally going, it wasn't about anything. This is like, well, why are you here? What
do you know about Milo?
You know, and even to the Milo supporters, it's like, you know, why are you here? And it's like, because, you know, neither of us went in, you know, being reasonably, I won't say apolitical, but we're certainly not overly biased, I would say. Either way, and it's like, well, you know.
Certainly open to both sides. All sides.
Milo is.
Open to hearing from all sides. Yes, I'm sure you're
he's very open to all sides. Come here, darling.
Daddy.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Probably does. I don't know. But I think it gets many people like him, and I know this is aside from what we're supposed to be talking about. There's some people going, oh, homophobic. He's mental back there.
Yeah.
He's racist. What if he's well, we don't like him because he's white. It's like, well, who's the racist?
Yeah.
It's just stupidity. But I can just see tomorrow if Liberal Party win. Here we go. If Liberal Party win,
yes.
Wahid Ali's reaction.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't thought of that.
He is going to be ropeable. He is going to be so angry. What's the name of his show again?
Is it the project?
Project. Oh my God, can you imagine what that's going to look like?
Oh, hang on. Just on to breaking news. Bombshell victory. Scott Morrison hangs on as coalition wins election.
They've won?
Well, this is headlines. And certainly we've seen that be wrong before. No, so the coalition is on track to win government.
Yes.
That's very, very different.
Well, they're now they're still only 4 seats above Labor in the actual count. So, on track, yeah.
I mean, I could call on track, but there's no way I would call he's won.
Well, the thing is, I mean, we've only had about 68% of the entire vote's counted at this point. It's way too early. And considering the electoral college,
Yes.
oh, if ScoMo hangs on, if this, I should say ScoMo, LNP hangs on, oh my goodness. There's something wrong with the Labor Party. I mean that. There is something wrong with the Labor Party because, you know, that would be 2 elections that they, by the polling and by most opinions, by some pundits, even pundits on the right, like the more conservative pundits, that's 2 elections they lost.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have. So obviously there's something going wrong here with the Labor Party if they lose again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just comments here from the page. Labor scrutineers have told us that all the voters have punished the party for its higher taxing agenda. Labor used to be a party for the workers. Now it's a party for the people who don't work. That's a big comment.
Well, no, I think that's a fair comment.
Well, it's not a big comment to be said by someone that works in
and the
Labor.
thing that pisses me off is that they say that they're wrong as well because the Labor Party said, oh, we're going to add $150 new start over 5 years.
Yeah.
And the tax cuts were going to be next
Yeah.
year. So they're going to completely screw everybody next year.
Yep.
And 150 years over 5 years. By the time that comes in, oh, you know, if you raise the minimum wage to $20, the $150 will really be even more.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and what happened last time in Western Australia, maybe somebody was watching this at the time, but in Western Australia, I think they raised the selling wire last time by about $70, and Hermes West increased their price by $40 on.
Yeah, I did hear that.
So basically, they just wiped them out straight away anyway.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So, as a person who likes statistics, I have actually been looking at how the US does theirs, and not so much how they do it, but how they look at it. Yeah, they go right down to, and I can't remember exactly now off the top of my head because it's late at night. But they'll say, okay, if we're ahead of the voting at 12 o'clock, that's because, you know, all the Republicans vote in the morning and all the Democrats vote at night, and that they really go down to that sort of level. Yeah, and it's like, and they are right most of the time, and I'm pretty sure the UK do that too. But I've never heard of that happening here.
No.
And it certainly doesn't change anything. I mean, knowing who's voting when doesn't change the result.
The Labor Party has held Fremantle.
Okay.
Fremantle is Labor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and right, the coalition have just done an extra seat. So they're now up to 58 seats.
Yep.
Man, it's still a close one. There's only 4 seats in it.
Mm.
So it's not like this is big numbers here. But yes, even the projection, it's projecting that the Liberal Party will win. But it's like we're talking within 4 or 5 points, 4 or 5 seats. It's going to be a very close race. The independents are still basically negligible.
Yep.
We're talking maybe 4 seats.
Yeah.
The Greens have still only got 1.
God, haven't they dropped off?
Well, it's Melbourne.
Mm.
Well, I predicted earlier in the year that they would lose Tasmania completely.
Yep.
I was expecting a later victory there, but I couldn't imagine you making Tasmania change to the Liberal Party. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that gets me is New Zealand, every time, it's always unpredictable how they're going to vote in the election. Being the 8th state.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah, we've got enough of them in the country. All right, we're just, New Zealand, they're our little friendly cousins. At least we can have an earthquake in Australia every now and then. If you do imagine that, Bruce. But yeah, no, the projection is LNP.
Yeah, looking at Sportsbet Coalition, $1.04, Labor $11.
Holy Jesus Christ! Well, I should put that million on.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big swing.
Oh, that's crazy.
Mm.
I mean, what's going on?
Yeah.
What am I doing? So, where's my news? Co.com. I'm just going to check a different source to see That is my ABC News app.
No app.
Yes. So, yeah, 76 to win.
Mm-hmm.
The projection is Labor, at the moment, we've got Labor 74, ALP 65, others 6.
Okay, so others can still play a big role in
So, what have we got here? It says they're panicking.
it. Yeah, I bet.
Let's have a look at the Senate. So, Gladys is celebrating the New South Wales Premier.
Oh, good.
Yes. United Australian Party's claiming victory
Did they actually win?
because they helped getting the coalition.
Oh, good. I
So,
guess.
well, the funny thing is, One Nation actually got more votes in Queensland than the United Australian Party,
Right.
but still, so yeah, look, it looks as if
Mm-hmm.
we will end up with an LNP party.
Okay. So one of the big things for the election over here was the One Nation guy in Perth who has been sharing naked photos. Did you see that one?
No.
No.
Oh, the Clive Palmer party. No, I didn't see it.
No. Oh, I don't think it was One Nation, was it?
Pretty sure it's Clive Palmer showing off his junk.
No, he was. This is the guy with the six pack.
Oh, probably. It's, it's one bogan or another.
Well, that's right. Obviously my phone's not exactly blown up with the guy, naked guy with a six pack. Don't send me any. But I'm not going to show you the photos. But
Please send me some. Please do it.
But just to show Nathan, he was okay.
Jesus, he should be arrested. Look at
Oh,
that.
that's right. Yeah. Hang on.
I'm not kidding. He's a good looking fellow.
Yeah. So Jackson Reeford, probably not pronouncing that right, but he's a FIFO worker, and look, he is.
Good looking.
He's good looking. He's got muscles, and so good on him. But I just want to see how he's going. I'm trying to see which seat he's going for. Canning. There we go.
Probably won't get it.
No, probably not.
Not Canning, no, I don't think you can get it.
But
Pretty safe. Oh, well, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Bass, actually. Whether that's retained by the Liberal Party. I've got friends that live in Bass. Unbelievable.
Let's have a look.
Well, I mean, you look at the map here, and that's how we're looking so far. The Liberals are the dark blue.
Yep.
The
Wow.
light blue are the Nats. So, yeah. But, I mean, it doesn't give you the population size at all, does it?
No.
But, my God. I'm going to have some really upset friends tomorrow.
Okay. Just out of interest, the Mustley guy has 6.7% of the vote.
He should have offered his services to the young ladies.
Yes, and being in WA, obviously, we're still quite early in the count. But he's got 1,700 votes. The person in charge, leading, Andrew Hastie, the Liberal, has 12,500 votes.
Yeah, that's a very, very sad level.
And the Labor is 5,000 votes behind that. So that's.
Oh my God. So they're not that far behind.
No, that's right.
Wow.
And I'm not sure what he's running on, except steroids. So,
Human growth hormone.
yeah,
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
but it's interesting seeing things like this. Like Andrew Hastie is well and truly, he's got 48% of the votes, and that's actually a negative swing of 1.3%.
Wow.
So that's a pretty safe seat, I think.
That's incredible. Now, if Queensland does go, I think if Queensland loses another 4 seats to the Liberal Party, I think that's the time to call it, because Queensland has gone. It's funny, just as an aside, in America, the Conservatives are red.
Yep.
and the progressives are blue. In Australia, it's the other way around.
Of course.
That's why our Liberal Party.
Because we're underneath the world, you see. It's kind of like a Stranger Things sort of thing.
Like toilet swirls the
Yeah,
other way
that's
around.
right.
We're backwards.
Yeah, we're upside down.
We're going back down, guys, backwards.
Actually, something just reading here, informal votes make up about 6.5% of the votes in this particular place.
Yeah.
That's I'm not sure how that is. It's a little bit high. It's 1.5% more than usual, but that's just a very select group.
Yeah.
But that's not a small amount.
No, it's not.
Considering a lot of these are 48, 52, and that sort of range, 6% is a huge amount of votes that could have been used by one of the parties.
Well, I think, it's good that in a way there's only 6% of the population thus far.
Yes.
I think it's usually a very small percentage anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas most people in Australia go, well, we've got about someone.
Yeah.
Not doing it.
So I can tell you from working there at the polling places when I saw it, and keep in mind this was 10 years ago, so things might have changed. But people do not like numbering below the line on the Senate.
Yes.
No surprises there. But yeah, there used to be a lot of arguments between, does an X in one box count as their vote for that when they're supposed to number 1 through 7 and things like that. It actually gets quite complicated.
Well, this is just 2 seats. So then you're on 60 seats to Labor's 54.
Oh, wow.
They
It's
are
gonna be
starting
tough
to
for me.
surge, man.
Well, you see, we see the surging, but it's actually predetermined because it's shut 2 hours ago.
Don't start. It's too late. I haven't heard that.
But it's not like people are saying, "Oh, I'll just start and then I'll wait."
Well, no, but you know what I mean.
I do.
It's still unpredictable because nobody knows how other people vote except people who voted for them. So, yeah, whatever.
Yes, that's right.
But
Well, that's right. I know like how I voted, I know how my wife voted, and that's about it.
I don't even know how my missus voted.
No, and I mean, if my wife didn't want to tell me, I certainly wouldn't have pressed her. But I was fairly set on how she would go. The Christian part.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is not a surprise to me.
Who was running this time?
Oh, I don't even know.
Jane, probably. That's not me. Well, you don't know that. You don't know where I live. But it's really interesting how people vote. I mean, I'm voting for a party that's never been in the House of Representatives.
Okay, yes, I know who you tend to lean towards. I'm not sure if you've told everyone else.
I'm very biased. I mean, this is on my channel
Yes.
every day this week.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't going to bring it up. That's up to you.
And if you didn't, you're a bum. But I can understand why.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to go for, especially if you're voting for it,
Mhm.
and you vote for whatever it's like, well, in my case, I'm really voting for the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, what if we do get a couple of seats?
Mhm.
We
Look,
can-
they make good sense. I've seen what you sent around.
Yeah.
And obviously they're quite biased because they are them.
Well, exactly. You know,
Yeah.
I'm for it.
Yeah.
But, you know,
No, look, they make good sense. But unfortunately, I just can't see right now that they could get in.
well, they won't. The thing is, and this is one thing I will give the Parliament United Australia Party. They too want to get the moratorium on nuclear power.
Okay.
We need to get nuclear. We're going to get rid of fossil fuels. We can't rely on wind and solar alone. Nuclear is a good stopgap until the scientists, and they are working hard.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They'll eventually come up with what we need.
Mhm.
But until then, I'd rather be running on nuclear than on coal.
Yeah.
And it's safe for the environment. It's better for the environment.
Mhm.
And an interesting, unfortunate fact today:
Yes.
the koalas are on the endangered species
I
list.
saw that. Only functionally extinct, I think they call it.
Functionally extinct
80,000 left?
in the wild. That's correct.
Yeah. So I think functionally extinct means that they can't find each other in sufficient numbers in order to reproduce.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And I saw this in the wild. It's because it's hot. It's like no, it's not even
No,
it's
yes.
the chlamydia.
Yes.
The koala chlamydia is unfortunately it's just ravaging the population. It's like the same in
Oh, the tumours for the
Denver,
tigers. Yeah, that was it.
the cancer. And it's basically, well, obviously humans aren't going around getting chlamydia.
Yeah.
That's just New Zealand.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's right. You'd be hard pressed not to be able to find a sheep, wouldn't you?
Well,
Yeah.
the LNP are going to win. Maybe. But, it's terrible that our koalas are going away at the dodos.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, there's so many dingoes on the Quarry Island that people can lose their babies.
Yes.
There's only a chain of lead.
Oh, that's a bit hard. Too soon, man. So yeah, I say that to people who said the dinosaurs are extinct.
Yeah, that's just okay.
I just think it's a good line. But speaking about the Tasmanian devils, I'm a little bit off track here. I went to one zoo and they had the Tasmanian devil enclosure, and the fence was maybe 3 foot high, and it's like I could have reached over and touched them. And fair enough, I'm a little bit taller than most, but that seems to me to be quite dangerous because these things aren't tame.
Yes.
Yes.
The thing is, though, I mean, it's sort of like you go to this crocodile exhibits, and they've only got sort of fences and a 12-foot drop on the other side. So the kid just decided to dangle out of there.
Yeah.
They're food.
Where's Michael Jackson when you need him?
Well, what was the name of that lady gorilla?
Oh, Harambe. I reckon we should have put him in. He would have won on the boat.
Oh, spicy meatball.
I reckon they could have got a bunch of people together to put Harambe on the voting slip, like to write it in, and he would have done okay. Not now, maybe last election. But it was, I reckon he would have got a couple of percent.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, I reckon. What's the bet? Thanos got a couple of thousand votes this year.
Wouldn't have been awesome if Hawking had it.
One for the road. Yeah.
It's like dusty.
Yeah. But I'm sure Thanos would have got some. People would have drawn a little box and written Thanos next to it and ticked it.
I have no doubt about it. Unlikely to say Labour. West thanks for that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost there.
2 seats remain on the projection. Wow. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it looks very much like another LNP government.
Yeah. Not really how I expected this to go.
No, I think it would be close, but I didn't expect the LNP to be this late in the game to be in front. So Liberal Party have now Kane, Kudon, Moore, O'Connor. Jesus Christ. Hughes, good old Merv. Wow. Labour got Werribee, which we already knew. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, I might end the stream at this point. So, thank you for joining us. And it looks like we've got another LNP government. So,
you've only got yourselves to blame.
Bastards. I'm Googs the Drunk Philosopher here with
Michael.
Michael.
Tree.
We might catch you again down the road. Thanks for joining us. Good night.